All right, here we are at the 2020 Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're about to talk to an individual we hear quite a bit about. Can't tell you too much. We're just gonna find out right now. The Searcher.
How you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good, real good. Busy day.
Yeah, I see that. So tell us, how long have you been in professional wrestling?
I started in 1998, so about 22 years.
All right. Were you a fan before you got into the business, or?
Yeah, I was a fan. Since I went to wrestling, wrestling at the Chase, when I was a little kid. I went down to the Checker Dome. I watched Ric Flair my whole life, Harley race. When I was younger, I wasn't a huge fan of the WWF, because but I was a big fan of wrestling, and I've been a fan of it my whole life. But I didn't get into it until it was hard. I think in '93, I was 22. I wanted to wrestle, and I had done some tough man competitions. I had done a bunch of
stuff.
I did a lot of stuff because I started martial arts when I was 6. I started in Kung Fu, which is basically Chinese self-defense, and then studied the 5 forms of Kung Fu, and then Wing Chun, and then Jeet Kune Do. So I've been in martial arts a long time. I always wanted to wrestle though, because in martial arts you can't, be, So
you're not gonna powerbomb somebody.
Exactly. And back then, with no internet and nothing like that, I just opened up the. It's so funny. I opened up the Yellow Pages and thought I was going to find the WWF or Vince McMahon or NWA, in there, and there was nobody. So I had to wait a couple years, and then a friend of mine gave me a flyer to a show that came to mind. Fate is big in this business. You can wish and want all you want, but a lot of times it has to do being in the right place, the right time, and if the good Lord chooses you, and that's how that happened.
We're not denying that here for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a few names. Was there anybody else that you looked up to as a fan before?
Yeah, I've told the story a couple times. I was 7 or 8 years old. The number one wrestler when I was a kid for me was King Kong Bruiser Brody.
Hear that a lot.
Yep, and me and my father were not close, but he did take me to wrestling matches. I think he was trying to get rid of me. But we went there, and it was Abdullah the Butcher and King Kong, and Brody, just the chairs, the blood, and everything. And I loved it. And I looked at my dad as it was about to end, and they were leaving. I said, "Dad, can I run down there?" And just hit his hand. So he said, "Yeah, I don't care, go." So I run down there, and they just had a rope. And I'm running in front of all these people, and I couldn't get past them. I'm trying to get Brody's attention. So I didn't realize it, but I'm a little kid. I got underneath the rope, and I'm just on the side. I'm trying to get his attention. He's all, bloody. Da-da-da-da. Well, the next thing I realized is I had followed him through the curtain, and I just reached and grabbed him, and he turns around, and I've never seen anything bigger. It was huge, and I kind of didn't know what to say, and I just go, "One day, I want to be just like you." And he did something that today you would never do. He looked down at me, and he's like, "Huh, huh," and he wipes his face with blood and puts it across my face and said, "There's your start, kid." And I'm just like, "This is the coolest thing in the world." So I turn around, and I'm walking up the aisle. I'll never forget my dad. He's drinking his beer, and in the corner eye, he's like, "Who stabbed you?" And I'm just like, "No. He did this. Bruiser Brody, it's his blood," and all this. It was.
I don't use inside terms too often. I don't like it. This is a fan show.
Yeah.
But I gotta use one for this. That is probably the biggest rub of all time.
It would tell you what. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was great.
All right, so let's fast forward to your career. Well, here you are now a promoter of ACW.
American Championship Wrestling.
Okay. Who were some of your favorite opponents in the ring?
In my career, my favorite ones. Okay, well, Cowboy Bob Orton right at the top. Dan the Beast Severn. Both these guys are really, really good friends of mine. I call them on Christmas. But I really liked the Bushwhackers, were great guys. I liked the Honky Tonk Man, Greg the Hammer Valentine was my first big name I wrestled. It was like, because I was a big Undertaker fan, and when I first got into business, I didn't know how to wrestle. But I knew there was something, because you can't, the fighting was different. It wasn't like fighting, it was like entertainment and stuff. But it was really harder than what people think. So I didn't know what to do, so I just emulated the people I really liked. And Undertaker had, at that time, become like my number one. And I would just be him. And I was like, it's going to be Greg the Hammer Valentine and The Undertaker all over again at WrestleMania. Because, that was Undertaker's first rep. I walked the ropes, did everything. Hammer never spoke to me before. I was in the locker room. This was awesome. I grew up watching, and I did eventually start watching WWE, but I'm sitting in the locker room, and there's the Bushwhackers, and there's the Honky Tonk Man, and there's, Cowboy Bob Orton, and there's Nikolai Volkov, who told me a story about a dog attacking me. He scared the hell out of me. But basically, there's so many names. I'm in 1987, 1986, the locker room of the WWF, and I'm one of the guys. But here's, Hammer, he would not speak to me, didn't have anything to do with me. We never said a word. We went out to the ring, and we went for about 40 minutes. Well, about 30 minutes. Well, 40 minutes, and it was back and forth. It was brutal. It was great. I was green. We never spoke. We just kicked shit out of one another. And I get in the back, and Bob goes, well, I guess he likes you because usually he ends it pretty quick. And if you went on quick like that, then he really likes you. Then he would talk to me. After that, he talked, and I had wrestled Hammer a bunch of times now. In fact, I just seen Hammer. My daughter wrestles now, and she was up in Kansas doing TV, and Hammer was there, and we had talked up there. But I had wrestled. I had worked at ECW, wrestled all kinds of people. I wrestled just everybody in the business, and I've been all over. What a lot of guys get in this business, they like to stay in that small pond, as I call it. That local area.
But you're a searcher. So
that's right. That's right. I would get booked here.
Let's go ahead and cut you off for a plug here. You just said your daughter wrestles.
Yes, she did. Yeah, Miss Hyde. Yep.
Oh, Miss Hyde. Okay, yep. We don't have to plug that. We know Miss Hyde.
Miss Hyde, and she's currently American Championship Wrestling's ladies champion. She is doing exactly what I did. We didn't get into wrestling to wrestle in our hometown. We got into tour to go out and wrestle for as many companies as we could, but she's doing it. It's great to see. I couldn't get her to clean her room. I couldn't get her to dress out in gym class, and now she's my wrestler. It's crazy.
All right, now we're going to have to keep her out of this next question.
Okay.
Now, we talk to a lot of guys, and we hear that, well, your name comes up.
Yeah.
We say, who trained you?
Yeah.
The searcher.
Yeah.
The searcher. We've been searching for the searcher for a long time. So, who in your eyes really has the potential to be a future Hall of Famer? Who's really you think is gonna really make an impact on local wrestling? Are there a few names you got?
Keith Smith Jr., Roy Lewis.
I like Roy Lewis. Big time Roy Lewis fan right here.
Yeah, Deke Henderson, really good guy. Mark Morgan, really, really good. There's just so many. Miss Hyde.
We got to keep her out the equation.
That's right. We'll get her.
But I'll say, Miss Hyde.
Yep. Man, there's a lot. I mean, I'm hard with names, but a lot of guys. It surprises me that there's not. It's so funny. When I got into this business, it was the peak of the Attitude Era, and everyone wanted to be a wrestler. And if you just mentioned a wrestling name in a store, it was a 15-minute.
Yeah.
But today, it's hard for us to find. Like, I have a training center, and it's very hard for me to find people that wants to train to be a wrestler. It's a dedication, and it's almost a way of life, but it's hard to find. And it's almost like the mid '70s and early '80s. And Bob tells me all the time that they're pulling down $4 or $5 grand in the '70s a week because money was big. But a lot of feds have come along, and wrestling has really took a dip. And I could tell you the reasons why wrestling took a dip, but we won't get into that. But the money where you could make $150, $200, $500, $1,000 a night has really went out of it. And a lot of people today, it's with all the entertainment, so many things that they can do at home, their phones, most people are very happy playing video games and stuff. It's a very special breed. If you're a young person in wrestling today, you're a special breed. Miss High went down and trained with Kane and Dr. Tom. She went down there for 3 months. She transferred her job down there. She would wrestle and train 4 to 10 o'clock at night, but she would work all day long. She had 2 jobs down there, and she paid for that. And that's dedication. Me, when I got into it, I met Dan to be 7, and I did a lot of cage fighting at the time, but I was a striker. I mean, I got all these scars on my knuckle because I was hitting most of my opponents. Knew nothing about the ground game. Then I fought Dan Severn. He beat me in no time. So I said, I want to be trained. So I went to Michigan, took his camp. I would go to Michigan sometimes 2, 3 times a month to train, just to train. And that dedication's
That is dedication.
yeah, well, I want to, I feel if you're going to do, just like with American Championship Wrestling, come to one of our shows, you're going to be quite surprised. Between the entranceway, the ring, the setup, and the wrestling. I book my shows like a house show. You're never going to have all this inside storyline stuff and all this other crap that most people don't. The average fan has no idea who you are or what you're talking about. They just want to be entertained, and that's called a house show. And that's what we do. We put on a really, really good show, and it's hard hitting. And I'm trying to bring in a lot of people from outside of this area because there's so many great. You got SICW, you got Herb Simmons, you got so many great federations around that have wrestling. So there's guys that wrestle around here, but people want something new. So I'm trying with my connections with, Dan Severn, Tom Pritchard, Kane, just trying to bring in. We got people from Kansas, got people in Florida, Texas. We're trying to bring people up that no one's seen before. And
We're definitely going to have to check out ACW.
You need to.
Soon.
Yeah, you need to.
Hannibal, Missouri, usually, right?
Well, we're going to Melville. I think it's the 29th of February. Then we'll be in Arnold on the 14th of. Well, I have a bunch of the dates. I'll give you the dates.
Well, where can we find ACW on social media?
Yeah, it's ACW The Show on Facebook. You can find us there, and it's acwtheshow.com, acwtheshow@gmail.com if you want to email us.
acwtheshow@gmail.com.
Yes, you can get a hold of all that stuff, and you can get links to the Hall of Fame and links to a lot of other things too. We're connected with JPW, which is Jacob Pritchard. Yeah, all connected with all that stuff. So yeah, we just brought Kane in. I just had Kane come in, and he did a show with me and done any independent shows with anybody else. Having a friend like that, my best friend Mark Mansfield is his best friend from childhood, and I got to know Glenn, and so all 3 of us we've been doing these shows, and that's what we want to do. We got another one we're going to be doing. We got Farmington, the convention center down there. It's a huge place, 3,000 seater, and we're going to try to bring. If he doesn't go to Saudi Arabia, Kane will come in again, and we're going to try to bring in some more big names because Dr. Tom did a seminar and all that too.
That's a cool inside piece, but you didn't have to tell us that Kane did a show in Missouri.
Everybody knows. I know.
Everybody knows.
I know. Glenn doesn't like that. Here, I would tell you a secret.
I didn't get to go. I cried.
You should have. It was great.
I planned on it, and
you don't even like me.
But things happened, really so I couldn't make the drive.
You need to, but next time come down and hang out with the Big Red Machine a little bit, and we call it the Kane experience because what he does is he doesn't just come in like a lot of names. We're partners, so therefore when he comes into this, he runs the show. He tells me what to do. We go through everything. And he sat out there and was involved the whole night long.
So now we're talking about not just Kane, but Glenn Jacobs,
Yep.
Knox County Mayor.
That's right.
Is running the show. Now he's promoting.
That's right.
It's the whole King show. Okay. Well, that's something to check out when Kane takes over a promotion in Missouri.
Check it out.
Anything you want to say to anybody that might be watching right now?
We need women. We need young wrestlers.
Ray Victoria. Hey, call this man.
Get a hold of me.
ACW.
Look what I'm doing right now. I'm going to give this man a stack of my cards, and he's going to give them to whoever he can. You get a hold of me, and you'll be trained by the best. you'll start with me, and like I said, I started training even before I really knew what I was doing. I still started training. I've trained some of the, and guys went to the WWE that I trained, and they'd go, "Who trained you?" And they, Dr. Tom, when he came in, when we first met Vaughn, he said, she goes, "Well, my dad's a wrestler. He's been a wrestler for a long, long time, and he's been all over, and he trained a lot of people and all this stuff." And he goes, "What's your dad's name?" And she goes, "The Searcher." And he goes, "I've heard that name many times." And I was like, "What can I say?" But you'll start with us, and we'll train you, and then we'll move you on down to Dr. Tom and Kane, and then maybe you can go. I mean, everybody else is like, "Well, we're going to train you, and then find your way to WWE. We'll train you, and then we'll send you down to where you have only one step left to go to WWE." You can't beat that.
Can't get any better than that.
No, you can't.
All right, well, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna put in some work for the Searcher.